What is going on, guys? This is PVZ Fabmaster, and today I am uploading a video called Set 4 Hype, and the reason for this is because I'm going to show you a bunch of decks that I have imagined with the Set 4 cards incorporated in them. I'm going to ask you guys to comment below what kind of decks you'd like to see with Set 4 cards, and of course I will be spoiling Set 4 cards, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this video. But since I'm assuming a lot of you do already know a lot about the Set 4 cards that will be coming out, let's get right into it, and I'll show you some of the decks that I have planned for Set 4. And obviously, a lot of these won't have the cards filled in yet because I don't have all the cards for them yet. But obviously, a lot of cards are getting like nerfed, but their crafting costs will match their recycling costs. So I might end up recycling a lot of legendaries and stuff like that, so they won't be as good. Because they won't be as good, stuff like that. So stuff like Stompodon I might be recycling. So anyway, so I'll have lots of sparks to craft, like cool legendaries and stuff. So anyway, this first deck I have prepared is a variation of Aggro Solar Flare, which is a very popular plant deck in Set 3 because of like Zomblob and everything. But it's just a good deck in general. The aggressiveness, it's very aggressive because of good cards, great cards like this right here. Fireweed, of course. You could play that in Heights and it won't make the environment, and it's a 2-cost 3/3, which is just very good. This of course draws the zombie player card, but 4 damage on turn 1 is just very good, very good. This is 4 damage, this is 5, we're even running a few of these Apricots. Basically, the few cards that I'm missing here are a card called Sunstrike, that is coming out in Set 4. It is a 4-mana trick that gives all your cards strike through for 1 turn, and I believe it conjures you a trick. So that's just sort of like a weird added-in effect, the trick conjuring, but the main effect, obviously, of the card is giving all your cards strike through. And if you see, like, the high powers of my cards, 4 attack, 4 attack, 4 attack, 3 attack, this, of course, can get its attack boosted. So if all those have strike through for 1 turn, it could really turn into something crazy. So I'm planning to put 4 of those into this deck, and also maybe craft up 3 of these Astracatos right here. It's a good finisher, good aggressive finisher. Obviously, this is quite good as well. Be 5 damage once you evolve it off something, maybe. We don't have a lot of really little things to evolve it off of, but one of Solar Flare's powers. More Spore, kind of useless in this deck. However, it's not useless if you play your Mushroom and then you evolve this guy off of it. So, there you go. I know a lot of people like Aggro Solar Flare. It's a very good deck, so comment below if that's the kind of deck you want to see. Anyway, the next deck we're getting into will be Nightcap. It is called Strawberry Pack. So I am missing quite a few cards for this deck, but I'm missing quite a few cards for a lot of other decks. But anyway, it is a berry deck, and I have never played berry decks before, but that's mostly just because for some reason that's a Set 1 card, but I only have 1 copy of it. I don't know why, but for the longest time I've only had 1 copy of it. However, I feel like berry decks can really make a comeback. I don't know if they ever really were that great, but I feel like they can become good because of one certain Set 4 card in particular that I'm looking up right about now. I have the list right here. It's called Strawberryan. It is a 3-mana 3/3 that is Berry Evolution, gain a Berry Blast, so you can play it off of one of your little berries like this, or if this gets fronted, you can play your Strawberryan. And when you play a berry, do 1 damage to zombies here next door. So of course we have lots of berries in this deck. This environment's actually a berry, so draw a card. So I would be planning to put 4 of those into this deck. I'd also want 3 of these things in this deck, obviously. But the other card I want 4 copies of is Velociraptor Hunter, a new legendary for the Triassic Set 4. It is a 3-mana 1/3 that makes a copy of that card right in front of it, and whenever you draw a card, they get +1 attack, so they could keep getting attacked more and more and more. And of course we have lots of card draw with this, just tons of card draw. Of course this is a good control setting for the early game, and of course Grapes of Wrath is a nice finisher. So that's kind of a berry deck right there, and it looks pretty good to me. Of course you don't see any 3-drops there, but those are the things you'll be getting with Set 4. So I'm definitely considering this deck a lot. It seems really nice to me. You only have to craft 1 legendary for it, which you'll have to craft 16,000 sparks, obviously. But it's seems pretty freaking cool. So that is the Strawberry Nightcap deck. Strawberry and Nightcap deck. I call it the Strawberry Pack because Velociraptor Hunter and that stuff. Anyway, next deck is quite interesting. It is called Primal Podfather. It is a P deck. Of course, P decks aren't very popular in the meta, but there's this new Smarty card coming out. It's an uncommon, but it seems very good for an uncommon. It's a 1-mana 2/2 Primal Pea Shooter that whenever it hurts a zombie, it bounces it. So it's literally like removal that costs 1, because bouncing, it only gets rid of the zombie for what, 1 turn, but it's still considered removal. That's kind of just how that works. So gets rid of that zombie that turn, and we have a few things to draw cards with this deck, as well as the P's in the early game. And the reason we have these to draw cards is I'm planning, if I am going to craft up this deck, I'm going to make 2 more of these for Dino Roar, all that good stuff. But I'm also going to make 4 copies of a certain Mega Grow Legendary that's coming to set 4. It looks so OP, like really broken. Like one of the more broken looking ones in this set. I don't know if it is really broken, but we'll see. We shall see about that. But anyway, I'm looking for it. Oh my gosh, I have to scroll forward all the way down here. I believe it is called... Where is it? Where is it? Okay, here it is. It's called a Potatosaurus. Now, the problem with a Potatosaurus, about the only problem I can think of with it, is it cost 6, which is really expensive for a Mega Grow card. Usually, you know, Mega Grow heroes are like, I'm going to buff this plant, and, you know, I'm going to finish you off pretty quickly. But this costs 6, but its ability is very, very, very good. It's a 5/5 untrickable, so it grows like crazy. When it played, it conjures a root. So basically, it's a 6/6. I believe that's what it would be. It'd be a 6/6 untrickable on turn 6, because it will draw you a card, which will activate its Dino Roar ability, which gives it +1/+1. So basically, that's what that is. So it's Dino Roar, untrickable, draws you a card. Pretty freaking good, if you ask me. So we're basically looking for 2 more of those, 4 Potatosaurus, and 4 Primal Pea Shooters to finish this deck off. So anyway, that is the Green Shadow deck that I have planned. If you guys want to see that, of course, comment below. So anyway, next deck we have is Primal Nuts. So this is a Beta Carotene deck. I didn't really bother to put a Citron deck together, but anyway, this is a Beta Carotene deck. It is using some new cards from set 4, obviously. One of the primary ones we're going to be using is Primal Walnut. It is a 3... It looks really broken right now that I'm looking at it on the website, but it looks really broken. Like, okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm getting too high on it here, but it looks really good. It's a 3-mana 0/9. Of course, that means it doesn't have any damage, but if you put this on the board, it will. But anyway, team up and untrickable. And when played, it's not only just team up untrickable, 3-cost 0/9. When played, it conjures a card that costs 4 or more, which is kind of just random and out there, but you know, kind of like the other ability with Sunstrike, that other card, but it conjures you a card that costs 4 or more, so that's pretty cool, I suppose. But anyway, that is going to be in this deck. I'm going to have 4 of them. I'm going to craft 3 of these, but the other main finisher that I'm going to be having in this deck is called Loco Coco, which is the new legendary in this set. When played, it makes walnuts next door, and nut evolution. All plants with no attack get +3. And obviously, with this walnut, this here, and the Primal Walnut we'll be having in, and Mirror Nut as well, we'll have a lot of cards that have no attack in our deck, which means Loco Coco can really, and this as well, really. But anyway, Loco Coco could really do some stuff. This, of course, is very good with all your team up things. This gives all your, you know, low attack things 3 attack. Very good, typical not walnut, walnut, whatever. It's not walnut, it's Beta Carotene. It's cool. You know the drill. Anyway, on to Rose. And for Rose, we have a very classic deck known as Ramp to the Dragon. Now, if you've been watching the Twitch streamer Fry Him Up, you've been noticing he's been into a lot of ramp decks recently, which made me think I needed to have at least one ramp deck considered for set 4. So basically, the cards I'm missing for this, I don't have any copies of Twin Sunflower, because for the longest time I've thought, You know, Sunflower is pretty trash. It's not that great of a card, but it's getting buffed in set 4. It's going to become a 2-cost 0/2, which means it's less flimsy. Still pretty weak card. It can be taken out. Rolling Stone, Plumber, yada yada yada. But basically, the whole early game is committing to ramp. Of course, this could control, and of course, once you place Briar Rose, hopefully on turn 3, you could, you know, use your little flowers to control them. But anyway, this card right here, Cop Cannon, you're hoping to get that off pretty early. And for the water lane, we're actually adding in 4 copies of a certain set 4 legendary known as Bird of Paradise. It is a 5-cost 4/5. It's a flower, so it has synergy with Briar Rose, so it could take out any big amphibious minions because it is amphibious. But if you don't do that, it's actually very good for conjuring superpowers because it does that at the start of each turn. So that is pretty neat ability right there. We'll be putting 4 of those in this deck. We'll be crafting more of these Cob Cannons. Of course, you evolve that off of your little sunflowers. And we'll be crafting 2 of these as well. Dark Matter, Dragon Fruit, big finish in this deck. So basically, we need Twin Sunflowers, we need Bird of Paradise, we need more of these, more of these. It's a good, crisp deck. I like the decks where it's just 4 copies of each card. So I'm very, very much considering this deck. It seems really cool to me. So Bird of Paradise doesn't seem like a great card, but it seems like a fun card, that's for sure. So, you know. And Briar Rose isn't getting nerfed, so, you know. Some good stuff right there. This deck I kind of was a little lazy with, Banana Bunch, but there's going to be this new sort of banana card in this deck. Actually, it's not new, but basically it's this card. I actually recycled it, but I might craft it again. I'm not super high on this deck, but if you guys really like it for some reason, maybe I'll do it. But anyway, Banana Split. When destroyed, make 2/2 half bananas next door. Now, when those half bananas get destroyed, it has a new ability where it makes all bananas in your hand get +1 attack. And we are running Bananosaurus Rex. We're running this, which conjures you bananas. Basically, the cards we're missing for this deck are 2 more of these, all 4 of these things, and 6 of the, not 6, but 4 of the aforementioned a Potatosaurus card, because we're having all this Dino Roar with this, and we're also trying to heal at the same time. So, of course, actually, no, it wasn't the Potatosaurus, it was the Allosaurus. So, actually, the Allosaurus, of course, helps you heal a lot, so it's kind of a hybrid deck between your Dino Roar stuff and your heal stuff. It's a hybrid between bananas and healing, so it's a heal deck combined with a banana deck, which apparently is a thing now. And banana decks will probably be better with Captain Combustible because he has Banana Launcher and Banana Bomb, but in any case, that is the banana deck that I have with Chompzilla. Anyway, on to Mr. Walnut. And here we have another Allosaurus deck. It's your classic Walnut heal deck. Basically, the only cards I'm actually missing for this is the Allosaurus. So, if you really want to see a Walnut heal deck, that could definitely put that together. Just craft the Allosauruses. But anyway, typical Walnut Flower heal deck. Of course, they're not as OP as they once were, but this ruins a lot of early strategies. This, of course, can control the board. We're looking for just a little bit of controller here. Ramp to maybe a turn 3 Briar Rose. Of course, that's very good with this. You know the drill with this. I mean, come on. But the main thing you use to draw cards to buff your Allosaurus is the Taco, because it can heal you. It can heal all your stuff. And, of course, this is great finisher with this. And that's a good finisher with this as well. But this is good. This is, I like to run 3 of them. Not too circumstantial. Pretty circumstantial if you run 4. This, both these superpowers draw you a card which can help to trigger your Allosaurus, so that's a good thing to keep in mind there. So that's definitely a deck I could do, Allosaurus Walnut. So if you like what you see there, please comment below. Please, guys, comment below any of these decks that you'd like to see, because I have the sparks for pretty much all of them if I grind up some cards. So anyway, next we're getting into Captain Combustible, and I called this deck Dino Dam. This is one I probably won't have enough sparks for, even if I recycle a bunch of stuff, because there is a lot of stuff that I want in this particular deck. So this is totally pay to win as can be. This is the Legend 27 out. I didn't mean to do that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. So anyway, about the deck, tons of legendaries here. The aforementioned cards, a Potatosaurus, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Potatosaurus, we could just call it Potatosaurus. Potatosaurus, you need 4 copies of those. We need 4 copies of Velociraptor and 2 more copies of each of these. It's basically just tons of Dino Roar. This, of course, draws you great power, which means basically you draw extra cards. Of course, a Potatosaurus draws you the root. This draws you cards, so it's tons and tons of card draw, tons of, well, not tons of card draw, but tons of Dino Roar cards. It's crazy. I think this deck would be completely wild, but we'll see. Umbrella Leaf to protect all your big cards, and of course, Fireweed's a super good card. So we are heading on down to. Oh, we're getting pretty close. So anyway, our next deck also has a Velociraptor Pack Hunter in it. I call it the Law of the Pack. I've never really played a root deck, but I think this would be a pretty good one. So anyway, because I call it after the Pack Hunter. Now, I don't think the Pack Hunter is the guy with Team Up. But anyway, the cards you'd want for this deck are you want 2 more of these Triceratops, you want 4 of those Pack Hunter guys, and you want 3 more Soul Patches, because this is actually a root deck where towards the end you could actually partner this thing up with It Can't Be Hurt. And of course that's very OP unless of course you get rocketed or you place the environment. But anyway, it could still be a pretty cool combo. And this is of course a great finisher because of 6 attack. Could be 7 with Mr. Starchlord on the board. I've never been a big Starchlord guy, but of course Velociraptor things are a root, so and there's 2 of them, so if you put them in this environment, it's very good. And it's just super good. And lots of roots, and this is a root as well. Not a lot of roots in the early game. I don't know why. I'm just sort of having this sort of combo here. This is for mainly to activate the Dino Roar, but if you play this on turn 1 and 2, I suppose that's good. But there's not really a lot of berries in this deck. But anyway, that is the Spuddo root deck. Should be pretty interesting. Once again, comment below if you want to see that. What is the hero we haven't gotten to yet? I didn't really make a deck for Citron because I figured he's kind of the same as Beta Caratina. I think the one hero we haven't gotten to yet is Grass Knuckles, and it's another Dino Roar deck. So anyway, basically it's a lot of the same cards I've mentioned before. I think what we need here is 2 more of these, 2 more of these, 2 more of these, and 4 more of these. Go away. Bye. Go away.
Hey, Graham.
What? Bye. So anyway, my family's disturbing me again. But anyway, 2 more of these, 2 more of these, 2 more of these. And of course the 4 Potatosaurus, tons of dinosaur, tons of Dino Roar, whatever you call it. These are actually, I put in a few of those. I didn't want to put in like 3 or 4 because I think it's pretty circumstantial. However, it does give you +2, and actually, well, what it does is it gives a plant +2 and it conjures you a Galactic Gardens card. But I didn't want to put in like 3 or 4 because I thought it'd be too circumstantial. But I still thought it'd be a pretty good card, for buffing these guys and Mr. Potatosaurus as well. So anyway, that's all the plant decks I have. So let's move right into the zombie decks. And I think I already have one of them planned for it. So let's just go right away with Ramp, Plank, Zombot, actually. Yeah, we're not, Zomblob is not the meta anymore, folks. Well, at least it won't be in set 4. So anyway, a lot of cards are getting nerfed in set 4, and among them are Medula Nebula and Leprechaun Imp. So I'm putting this deck together. I don't know if this is going to be a deck I'm really heavily considering, but I want to see if those cards are still good. And if I see that these cards are still good, like a few weeks after set 4 is released, I might consider this deck, I'll tell you that. So the cards I'm missing basically are, and this is the most underwhelming legendary of all of set 4, I believe, but I'm wondering if it would be good in this deck because there's a lot of card draw in it. It is called Raiding Raptor. It is a sneaky legendary. It's a 3-mana 2/4. Dino Roar gets +1/+1, and excuse me, when it hurts the plant hero, it conjures a card that costs 2 or less, which is even more card draw in itself, so that's pretty crazy. Of course, this all stuff in the early game is card draw. Basically, what you want to do is you want to get a nice board developed and eventually Bad Moon Rising, maybe a few turns early with this guy right here. You have your Raiding Raptors, you have one more of these Plank Walkers for this deck, and the other card we'll be putting in this deck would be the Brainy Legendary. It is called Zombot Dinotronic Mechasaur. It is a 7-cost, 4/7 bullseye card. It's Dino Roar. It makes a random history zombie in a random lane. So that's a pretty fun card. It looks there. But it's very expensive. So that's why we have sort of the ramping into it. And Dino Roar, lots of card draw, obviously, to activate that. But really, when it has the next turn, it'll spawn a history zombie. But we have this as well just to get more cards, really, because we aren't running a lot of early game, which is kind of risky. But, of course, Huge Giganticus does have some nice superpowers, aside from his teleport one, which I really don't like. It's not good with this deck. But anyway, the main thing that's pretty cool with this deck is if you play your Plank Walker, or if you get like a nice minion from Bad Moon Rising, you put this thing on it, and it turns into a Zombot. And if you have a Zombot, you can turn it into a Trickster. So, with this particular card right here, Evolutionary Leap, turn a zombie into a random zombie that costs 1 more, and of course draw a card. Like, we needed more freaking card draw in this deck. But that's basically how this deck would work. Anyway, on to the Smash. And this deck, I'm missing so many cards for it. It's a whole bunch of set 4 stuff. It is called Hunting for Tempo. It is using a new set 4 super rare environment for the Beastly class, which looks really, really good. Like, it could really help the Beastly class out, I think. It is called Hunting Grounds, and zombies here, it's a 2-cost environment that says zombies here get hunt, which means when a plant hero plays a plant, zombie will follow it, basically. So when a zombie enters or leaves this lane, it gets +1/+1, so that looks pretty good to me. And we're basically running like the professional setup in the early game. Of course, this is getting nerfed when it gets +2/+2 when you evolve it off of a guy instead of +3/+3. I think it's a great nerf. I still think this card will be very good, though. So that is why I'm running it in this deck. So anyway, we're running 4 Hunting Grounds. We're also running a bunch of new Hardy cards in this deck. We'll also be running 2 more of these. But we're running a lot of new Hardy cards. We're running... Well, what we'll be running is we'll be running 4 of this new card that I'm really intrigued by, called Knockout, which is a destroy a plant with 3 or less. The bane of the Hardy class forever has been that it can't deal with like the Briar Roses and such. Well, that's why we're running Knockout. And another card that we'll be running 4 copies of, I believe that's this card and that card, and okay, so that's 12 and... Okay, so that's 14 cards right there. So another card that we'll be running 4 copies of, it's another new Hardy card called Turquoise Skull Zombie. And boy, does it look pretty nice. It is a Gravestone, 4 mana, 2/4, which is bad stats, but start of turn, the plant player loses 1 sun this turn, so it's like got a little mini raw zombie built into it, and this gets +1/+1, so... that could obviously keep, building up the stats here. This, of course, builds stats. This builds stats. This builds stats. Hunting Grounds builds stats. This builds stats. This builds stats. So it's all about tempo. It's all about making some pretty nice plays and then buffing them up as you go along. So I think that would be a good example. This could be a very good example of a zombie tempo deck once I have all the cards for it. And, of course, Knockout, maybe once I start playing this deck, if I do decide to make it, maybe having 4 copies of Knockout isn't the best idea, so I might put in like 2 or 3, but, I haven't really decided whether Knockout's a great card yet, but maybe it will be, so we don't know yet. We just don't really know. Anyway, this deck I just totally strung together. It's probably a piece of junk, but it is the new Mustache Synergy deck with Professor Brainstorm, who the Brainy class has gotten Mustache Synergy, and there's like lots of cool new Mustache cards. So I'll tell you all about the cards that I'm missing. But anyway, okay. So one of the main cards we're missing here is the Mustache Waxer, which is the uncommon 1 mana 2/2, which seems like sort of the middle manager of the Mustache tribe. When you play it, because it's like this card that has pretty decent stats and has a nice ability as well. Seems like a very good card for an uncommon, basically what I'm trying to say. But anyway, it's a Mustache zombie, obviously. It's a Mustache waxer. When you play a Mustache, you get +1 brain. So basically, what that kind of means is, for value-wise, you're getting a Mustache that costs 1 less whenever you play a Mustache. Obviously, if you had Nebula, that'd be kind of different, but whatever. And this gets +1 health, so that seems pretty good. Of course, we're running Disco Knot, so that 2/2 would have Bullseye. This, of course, is a Mustache zombie. This is a Mustache zombie. Another card we have is Mustache Monument, which is another Mustache zombie. And a fusion, a zombie plate on this does a bonus attack. So that's very good with all your stuff. This does bonus attacks. We're running Mime Guard because it's a big finisher. Of course, Neutron Imp will become a 2-cost 2/3, but that will be good with the Bullseye and of course with all your environments. So it's really an experiment to see if Neutron Imp would be any good, and with that buff / nerf / whatever PopCap wants to call it. But anyway, next we have Duckstache, which is another Mustache card which we'll be running 4 of in this deck if we were to make it. When this does damage, conjure a Mustache card. It is a 3-cost 2/2 Mustache, by the way. And Mustache Evolution, it gets +2/+2, so seems like quite an interesting card with all your Mustaches and all that kind of good stuff. So we're running lots of environments to help this guy out. Of course, Bullseye plus, you know, your Overshoot environment, super duper cool. Yeah, Mustaches, OP. I don't know. We'll see if Mustaches are like OP like Professional is. I don't think it is. I don't think it's gonna be, but we shall see. Anyway, next deck is with Mr. Rustbolt. It is Control Trickster. I've never really played a Trickster deck, but I'm willing to kind of do it because of I feel like the card, what's it called? Knockout, the 3-mana Hardy Trick that destroys a plant with 3 attack or less. That was specifically added for Rustbolt because he had such trouble. He's had such trouble for the longest time dealing with 3 attack minions. But now Rustbolt is just a total beast because he can deal with anything that's 4 or more, and anything that's 3 or less. And of course, you know, there's cards like Umbrella Leaf that have Untrickable, but they could just get Rolling Stoned. So much early game control basically with this. So much stuff. It's really cool. And the cards I'm missing for this deck are the 4 knockouts, 2 tricksters, and 4 kitchen sink zombies that I would be running as another finisher that you teleport them in, and kitchen sink would just be a menace. This we're running in case we need like more finishers, plus it's a trick that will buff your trickster. So that's basically Control Trickster in a nutshell. And of course these bonus attacks, running those with trickster and kitchen sink. Should be pretty cool. So anyway, on to Morticia, which is, this is a very similar deck I made with what's it called? Huge Giganticus. Only the early game focuses a lot more on control than it does ramping, because I feel like Morticia, the Beastly class, is very good control class. So is the well, it's pretty good control class. So is the, well, the Brainy class isn't control other than this rocket we got here. But anyway, basically the 4 cards we're missing, or the 8 cards, we'll need 2 more Octo Zombies, 2 more Nurses, and 2 more of those Zombot Dinotronic Mechasaur that I've mentioned. 4 of them, rather. 4 of the Mecha Roar thing with the Brainy Legendary that is going to come out in set 4. And of course, the eventual goal is to make these things into Zombots. Now, we are really not running a lot of zombies in this deck at all, so I'm not sure how this would work out. Just basically control. You play your big guys, hopefully evolve it, get a Zombot. That's kind of how you win. I don't know how this deck would work. I really don't. Maybe? I don't know if I want to make an addition to it now, but a lot of... yeah, never mind. No, I don't know what I was thinking about. But anyway, on to the next deck. I don't know, I could scroll out when I could just pick the next hero, but whatever. Anyway, next we have a Brain Freeze deck. which I've called Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty, Little Ball of Fur, because it's a pet deck, get it? And if you don't know that Soft Kitty song, you should definitely look it up. But anyway, this is a Brain Freeze pet deck. The thing that's going to make pet decks a lot better in set 4, you'll see I have another pet deck with Electric Boogaloo prepared. But anyway, this Yeti lunchbox, no one runs it, really. It's a zombie gets +1/+1, whatever. However, now it is a pet trick, which means this is triggered, and this is triggered. Plus it gives one of your guys a nice little +1/+1 boost, so it's tons of aggressive damage that you could be doing with all your cards. And I'm going to look real quick to see the cards that I have in this deck. One of them is the Monkey Smuggler, which is a 2-cost 2/3, pretty nice stats. Gravestone Zombie, it's a pirate. It says, when revealed, steal 2 sections from the Plant Hero's Super Block Meter, so that could be very good. It's a pet zombie, it'll trigger your pets. I'm trying to remember the other card I had in this frickin' deck. Oh my goodness. What was the other card I had in this deck? Okay, I think I know what it was. It was the Raiding Raptor, I believe. Would that make sense? Yeah, it would. Okay, so it's the Raiding Raptor. It's the pet zombie. It's the 3-mana 2/4 Dino Roar. Gets +1/+1. When it hurts the Plant Hero, conjure a card. It costs 2 or less. Anyway, it's a pet zombie. It's another legendary that I'm not super high on, but I find that could really work well in the decks that I mentioned for it. So we'll see if that works out in this sort of deck. We shall see. So that is Brain Freeze. That is all his cool stuff going on with the pets, all that good stuff. Anyway, the next deck we have is with Electric Boogaloo, as I mentioned. It is called Zombies Best Pets, because there is a new card, a 2-cost card coming out for the Crazy class. It is a 2-mana 2/1, I believe. It is called Zombie's Best Friend. And when you play this, it's a pet zombie, by the way, so it's a crazy pet, so it has synergy with Boogaloo. When played, it makes a random zombie that costs 1 brain, so that is pretty freaking cool, if you ask me. And this Allosaurus is also a pet. This you could evolve off of. I'm thinking this Gizzard Lizard is very good because you can evolve it off of the little guy that the zombie's best friend makes, or the zombie's best friend himself. So you could evolve him off of those little guys, maybe your dog walker if he ends up surviving. But I'd craft 2 more Quasars and 2 more of these for this, specifically so the Dino Roar of Allosaurus keeps getting activated by this and by this. So, you know, pretty cool stuff. Of course, I feel like Lunchbox getting buffed is going to make such a huge difference. So, yeah. Anyway, next we have Z-Mech. I noticed he was next, so then we have Infinity, and okay, we'll get to Z-Mech first. So, really I have most of the cards for this deck except the new Hardy Legendary that is coming out called Chump Champ. But we'll get to that in a second. Basically, it's a Z-Mech sport deck. You know, you have your typical Arm Wrestler Sumo combo with all your good Hardy legendaries, not legendaries, just sport stuff, sport combinations. I feel like Disconaut could be pretty good with it as well. Maybe some sugary treats to buff up all your guys. But the card I'm very excited about is the Hardy Legendary Chump Champion, which is a 5-cost 3/4. Not very good stats, but when played, all plants get -1. Sports Evolution, destroy each plant with 2 or less. So basically, get this straight, guys. It's a weed spray for plants with 3 or less instead, because all plants would get -1, and then destroy each plant with 2 or less. So any plant that had 3 would have 2. So it's a weed spray, but for 3 or less, and you're putting a minion on the board. Talk about a value field clear. That's why I think you really don't need any game after that, like any more late game. Really cool card, it looks like, Chump Champion, so yeah. Anyhow, on to Infinity. And after that, we'll have Neptuna, and after that, I didn't really make a deck for Super Brains, so that will be just about it. So, the Infinity deck I have prepared for you with set 4 cards is called Sugary Aggro. Basically, with this deck, we will be running 4 Space Cowboys, which is a card I've never really had before. Well, this is a dancing deck, first of all, because you got your Disconauts, you got your Unlifes, you got this thing, you got this thing, and this thing, and this thing. But before I mention, you all know about the Space Cowboy. It's the 4-mana 3/5 that, you know, travels around the board whenever it damages the plant hero. It could be very good because it has strike through if you like pump it up with some sugary treats or if it's in this environment. Very good stuff. But that's not the only legendary I'd be using in this deck. Oh no. I'd be using, I believe it's called Headhunter. Yes. This is a dancing legendary for the crazy class, 4-mana 3/4. When you play a dancing card, do 2 damage to the plant hero. Of course, we have tons of dancing cards in this deck, so that's very good. But the dancing evolution, if you give it dancing evolution, it gets +2/+2 in bullseye. So it'll be doing bullseye damage to the plant hero, and it'd be a 5/6. It seems kind of not really broken, but it seems a little bit broken. Just a tad broken. And the bullseye damage, it seems very similar to Astro Shroom of the plant class, but of course it has much better stats, so we'll see how good Headhunter is. I think it could be a very good card for this particular deck. It's an Infinity dancing deck. So the last hero we have is Neptuna, and it is a Gravestone Pirate deck that I have planned for her. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so it's mostly set 4 cards I obviously have for this particular deck. But anyway, I believe what we're rolling with here is... My voice is kind of dying here, guys. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, 2 more of these interplanetary gladiators. Of course, that's a pirate. Good stuff there. 4 of those turquoise skull zombies I mentioned, the ones that, you know, make the plant player lose sun, and that gets buffed. Of course, it could get buffed by Headstone Carver because it is a gravestone zombie. 4 of the Monkey Smuggler, which is the pirate, which is not only a pet card, but also a pirate card. So it has synergy with the Headstone Carver because it's a gravestone. It has synergy with this because it's a pirate, and this as well. Pirate, all that good stuff. Anyway, we also be running 4 copies of the card Excavator Zombie, which is kind of the new Pogo card because Gravestone, when revealed, bounce an environment and all plants there. It's not a pirate card, but it's a very good Gravestone card. It can become a 5/2, bounce the plants there. It's a very good face card when you think about it. Very good. Unthawed Zombie. This is for some amphibious presence. This is a pirate. When played, freeze all the plants in the water. But Pirate Evolution, freeze all plants. Now that seems like a pretty cool card. So anyway, we got 4 of the Unthawed Zombies, 4 of those things, 4 of those things, 4 of those things, 18 cards. Anyway, so 4 Unthawed Vikings, 4 Excavator Zombies, 4 of those monkey cards, 4 of the turquoise skull zombies, and 2 more of these things would equal this deck. I wouldn't have to craft any legendaries except this, but it still seems like a very cool deck. So let me know, guys, what kind of set 4 decks would you like to see me play? What kind of set 4 decks do you think will be broken? What set 4 decks do you think will be OP? What set 4 decks do you think will be cool? What set 4 decks do you think will be this? Tell me what your opinions on set 4 in general. And until next time, this is PVZ Fat Master. Bye-bye.